gas up the Jeep, it's good to be free. Load up the pans and fishing poles. The highway is long, the wheels turning round. Pack up the cook stove and the bowls. Arlo and I, we hit the open road. Arlo and I are on the road.
Hey everybody, well, I'm back in the kitchen again today, and I thought that I would make some nice homemade tomato soup. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I made a video that was just kind of a silly video. It was called Cheap Ass Sardine Grilled Cheese and PBR Tomato Soup. And, well, in that video, I just took some Campbell's tomato soup, and I added some milk, and instead of using all the milk, I used milk and beer to make the recipe, and it came out really delicious. And I thought, well, beer tomato soup, that's a fun idea and it tastes really good, but it would be even better if I started with fresh ingredients and I made a fresh roasted tomato soup, and I used the PBR in that. I think the PBR is a perfect beer to use for the soup, but you could use any light beer for the soup, or dark beer, depending on what color you want the soup to be in the end. So the ingredients that I'm going to work with today are, of course, we have our tomatoes. I have some nice ripe plum tomatoes here. I have some red onion, fresh garlic. I also have some tomato paste, our PBR, chicken broth, some extra virgin olive oil, salt and pepper, and then for herbs I have some fresh thyme and some fresh dill, because I really love dill with my tomato soup, and dill is my favorite herb, if you haven't guessed yet already. So I use it in everything. So first thing we're going to do is get all our ingredients kind of prepped up, and we're going to put them in our roasting pan, and then we're going to get that into the oven. So the first thing we're going to do is get all of our tomatoes cut in half. And we'll place all those into our pan here. Okay, and then I'm also going to add some garlic cloves. I have 5 garlic cloves. I have most of a large red onion here. I'm going to take half of it, and I'm going to put it in with our tomatoes. And then take some of this fresh thyme and sprinkle that all around. Just going to remove the leaves from the stems here, so we don't have to worry about picking out stems later. I don't know if you can hear that wind outside. It's so windy. You can hear the wind blowing through the pine trees. Such a beautiful sound. And then the fresh dill, I'm just going to throw that in just like this. I don't need to do anything with it, because the stems are soft in this, so when we puree it, they're going to disappear. And then some nice olive oil, a good generous amount of olive oil here, and then some salt and pepper. And then, because I like things with a little heat, I have some chiltepines. I have 3 chiltepines, which I'm going to crush and just sprinkle in here as well. Okay, so we're going to take this. Actually, I'm going to put a little bit more olive oil on some of these tomatoes. We're going to put this in our oven. I have the oven preheated at 400 degrees, and this will go in for about 45 minutes to an hour. So while our tomatoes are roasting in the oven, I'm going to kind of create the sort of the backbone of the soup, which is going to be, I'm going to get some the rest of this onion. I'm going to dice that up. I'm going to sweat that in a little bit of butter, and then I'm going to take some of the tomato paste and I'm going to kind of caramelize all of that in with the butter and the onions, and then at that point add our PBR to the pan, and we're going to let that simmer for a little bit to cook off the alcohol, but we want to have the nice beer flavor. And then we'll push that aside and we'll wait for our tomatoes to finish up. So I'm not really worried about making these nice and pretty. It's all going to be pureed in the end. Okay, to the pan, I'm going to add a nice big chunk of butter. And then we'll let that kind of heat up a little bit. Okay, our butter's melted. I'm going to add our kind of our chopped onions. And we don't really want this on a high heat. We just want to sweat these onions so that we're not really trying to get much color on them. We're just going to kind of sweat them down and get that flavor. Okay, these onions have been sweating for about 2 or 3 minutes, and I think I'm going to add some of this tomato paste. There we go. We just want to kind of cook the tomato paste to kind of cook out that raw tomato flavor. And this will take just like a minute. This tomato paste is going to add some more deep tomato flavor and richness to the soup. It's also going to add a little bit of thickening power, which we may or may not need. Okay, that looks really nice. Now I'm going to add my PBR. Okay. I'm going to put 2 cans of PBR. And then we're just going to bring this up to a simmer and just let this beer cook, and the alcohol will cook out and the beer will reduce down. Maybe we'll reduce this down maybe by half, and then we'll set it aside and add our tomatoes when they're ready. Okay, so our beer is coming up to a nice little simmer, and we're going to let this reduce by half, and then we'll be ready. So that's that. Our beer has reduced nicely. It's a little more than half reduced by half. So we're going to push that aside, put it back to the stove, and then we'll wait for the rest of our tomatoes and ingredients to finish in the oven, which we only have like 5 more minutes. Wow, look at how pretty those are. Alright, so our tomatoes and our onions and garlic. I'm actually kept this in the oven for the full 60 minutes because I think they needed to soften a little more. So I'm going to put all these tomatoes and onions and all of this into our soup. put a tiny little bit of chicken stock in this pan and lift up all of that flavor. And then we'll dump this in, dump all the rest of this liquid into our pan. There we go. Perfect. That looks good there. Now I'm going to turn the heat back on, and we will let this simmer for a little bit. Actually, I'm going to add even a little bit more chicken stock. There we go. And then we're going to let this simmer for about 10-15 minutes. Now it seems like we've had lots of stops and starts here, but our soup has been simmering lightly here for about 10-15 minutes, and now I'm going to puree it. And so I have a hand blender, and I'm going to puree this up. Alright, let's have a little taste. That tastes delicious. I can really taste the beer in there. Has a perfect amount of salt. Now it just needs to finish off with a little bit of heavy cream. Maybe like, I don't know, quarter cup. Let's see. That looks so good. All right, I think we're finished. All right, there it is. Look how beautiful that tomato soup looks. Oh, it's a beautiful color too. So put some in our bowl. And then a little bit more of the fresh dill on top. All right, there it is. Our PBR and roasted tomato soup. Oh, it smells so good. All right. Oh, that is so good. And you can taste, well, definitely taste the beer. It's really beer forward, but it's very tomatoey, and the roasty flavor of the roasted garlic and the roasted tomatoes and all that really comes through. Super creamy with the heavy cream. Wow, that is so good. That is a winner. Beer tomato soup is so good, and those chiltepines add just enough of a spicy kick to this, make it taste delicious. Perfect for a grilled cheese sandwich. They're so good. There are so many levels of flavor in here. Like I said, the beer, the tomatoes, the fresh dill really pops out. What do I like about the soup as opposed to, say, like canned tomato soup, is it doesn't have that sweet, overly sweet kind of flavor to it. This is more of a savory kind of notes in it. Wow. And it's been rainy lately. It's sunny today, but it's rainy the last couple of days, so I've really been in the mood to have some soup, so this really hits a spot. And it's really so easy, really. It's just like 2 pans. You need to roast everything off, either like on a cookie sheet, or, you know, it has to have a little bit of a lip to it, or wall, you know, so that the juice doesn't run all over. But some sort of a roasting pan, and then like a soup pot, and that's all you need. Really, really good. PBR roasted tomato soup. Well,
Yes,
following along, if you like this video,
it's
please
fun
like,
to be
subscribe.
free.
That always helps us a lot.
Load
And
up
we'll
the
see you in the next
pans
one.
and
All right,
fishing
bye-bye.
poles. Arlo and I, we hit the open
PBR and Campbell soup, if
Arlo
you're watching.
and I on the road.
All right. See you later.